Welcome to Life Mastery Radio with Todd Allen and Jackie Bailey, the show that dives into the science of higher consciousness with inspiring topics such as abundance, intention, health, manifestation, love, and transformation. Join Todd, Jackie, and their guests of leading authors, speakers, coaches, and entrepreneurs weekly at 10 a.m. Pacific. Learn to live a peaceful life with intentional mastery. It's all right here with stories and messages to support your well-being and most evocative dreams. Now, here's your hosts, Todd and Jackie.
Hey, it's another groovy day, and most of you already know why, but I'm going to tell you anyway. It's because I make it that way. Every morning I get up, I decide it's going to be the day before my feet hit the ground, and I'm telling you for sure that my day turns out groovy. No, something might happen, something might change, but I can always just think back and turn it around. It's magic. It works. Try it. You'll like it. Just like Mikey likes Life cereal. Welcome to Life Mastery Radio, the talk show that brings you great thoughts and ideas for you to use on your very own life mastery journey. And as always, I have my co-host with me today, the infamous Jackie Bailey. She's growing like a weed. I've just watched this woman just take off, and it's amazing. Hi, Jackie.
Hello.
This is our first show on a Thursday.
I know. Welcome, Thursday, people.
Forever. It must have been 10 or 11 years. I did a show every Tuesday at 10 a.m. and we decided to change it to Thursday at 9 a.m. And so here we are. Does it feel any different, Jackie? You're not so rushed, right?
Not necessarily different, but who knows? We'll maybe get a whole new group of viewers. All the Thursday people that have been kept from us.
Change can be a good thing, and it's often something, and maybe we'll talk about that. It's often something that we don't want to do, right? We don't want to change, but when we do change, we find, wow, this is a lot better than what it was. So, and
I think our guests will tell us sometimes it's because of fear that holds us back, right?
and it brings new energy, right? We become more energized, and it's new, and it's like a brand new little baby, right? She just coming into the world and ready to take on the world. And
yeah.
Speaking of babies, Jackie, how are things with the kiddos, or should we call them young adults? What's PC these days? Anyway?
I don't know what's PC these days, and I don't care about PC anyway. I don't really pay attention.
You know what? That's funny you say that, because I'm noticing more and more. I think a lot of people are getting to that point.
Yeah. Well, I like to call them my kids, even though they are officially my students, but they are young adults. They are future leaders. And it's an exciting week. 8 of them are speaking on a summit this coming Monday. It's the Family Matters Mega Summit. It's going to be broadcast from Azerbaijan, which is a small country in between Russia and Iran, because Dr. Ali Lankarani, who is the host of the summit, is from Iran. And so he's hoping to work with UNICEF, raising funds to help young girls and young women in the Middle East with social change for their benefit. Nice. And so
giving them a voice.
Yep. And so I'm so happy to know that 8 of my students are part of the 150 so speakers who are going to be sharing their voices with the world in one day. And so we're getting ready for that. That means that a lot of my time has been spent helping them to go, it's all right. You're going to be great.
I think about this sometimes. I think about, so how would you have responded when you were 10, 11, 12 years old, if you got invited to speak on a world stage? Of course, we didn't have that available when we were that age, but how would that have affected you?
Well, with my circumstance, I don't think I would have felt worthy to do that. I would have had no thought at all that I was worth being heard,
or even could do it, right? Or even have that.
Yeah. And so that's a big part of how we coach these kids, is we say there is something There's something that's an experience you've had that has taught you an important lesson, and that lesson now can inspire all kinds of people of all ages from all different parts of the world by hearing your story. And so let go of the fear and let's figure out how you can feel more your most confident self to present that message, and let's give you an opportunity. And on this particular summit, it's an interview style as well, so they don't even necessarily have to have a full 25-minute speech ready, which is far less intimidating, right? They just get to be interviewed, but I help them prepare by saying, here's the 3 points that you want to make sure we cover. And so when you're asked a question, tell the story in the answer that you give so that you get your message out there. And you know, they get it. Our kids are so smart. They really get it. And
so this will be on Facebook, or it will be recorded?
It will be, you have to register to attend.
So go to speakfeedlead.org.
No, you'd have to go to the Family Matters Summit. I'm not hosting the summit, or I am the host for the kids track, but I have been posting a lot on Facebook. So if you follow me on Facebook, you will find the links to sign up to attend the summit. And there's going to be 10 tracks going on every hour of the day. So many choices. And it benefits you to purchase a VIP package so you can have the recordings of all the speeches that you're going to miss.
put something up here. We'll put our call to action. Put something up on the Life Mastery Radio with Todd and Jackie Facebook page, and you can go to that Facebook page and find the link if you're interested. This is going to be a big deal. It's pretty amazing to watch kids this age have the thoughts and ideas that they do have and share that from their heart. It's just amazing. The more amazing thing is your kid could do it too. So check it out. You get a hold of Jackie. Google Jackie Bailey. I guarantee you will find a plethora of things that she's involved in.
You can go to JackieBailey360.com and find me there. Everything about me that you'd ever want to know.
Cool. Okay, are you ready for the show? I want to remind our listeners that today's show page is at www.lifemasteryradio.com. Any links that we talk about will be posted there after the show. We already have a link to our guest there on today's show page. And here later on in the week, Jackie will create a blog post about today's show on her take on it. And you can share that or read it or share that with other people and entice them to check it out. Our YouTube channel is on YouTube. Just look.
It's that easy.
And we have close to 300 shows on there about a multitude of topics, all things life mastery, and it's really good information. So go check it out. There's a big call to action.
Yeah.
Today, I think that Lynda Sunshine West is Jackie's guest, so that means that Jackie gets to introduce her. Take it away, Jackie.
Yay, me. Lynda is a recent acquaintance, and so grateful for that. You know, I get to meet so many marvelous people, and Lynda is one of them, and she's introduced me to more marvelous people. So her story is really inspiring. She actually ran away when she was 5 years old, and she was gone an entire week. And then when she came home, riddled with fears, and in turn became a people pleaser, like happens with a lot of us. At age 51, she decided to break through one fear every day for an entire year. In so doing, she gained an exorbitant amount of confidence, as you can imagine. So now she's on this mission. She's going to empower 5 million women and men to write their stories and make greater impact on the planet. Lynda is the founder and CEO of Action Takers Publishing. She's a speaker. She's a 22-time #1 international best-selling author, contributing writer to Entrepreneur Magazine, Brains Magazine. She's an executive film producer of the movie Wishman, and a red carpet interviewer. I mean, this woman, she's from that 5-year-old fearful girl. She's really blossomed and made big. She's got books called Momentum, 13 Lessons from Action Takers Who Change the World, The Fearless Entrepreneurs, and Invisible No More, Invincible Forevermore, This woman's amazing. Her name is Lynda Sunshine West. And very delighted to have you here, Lynda. Welcome to Life Mastery Radio.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here today. And I just got to say, whatever Yoda says, he says, do, don't try, or something like that.
Yeah.
No try, do.
No try, do.
There is no try, only do, I think is what it is.
That's it. Well, it's interesting as you were, saying my bio there, it just dawned on me that, I started this whole entrepreneurial journey only 8 years ago. It was 2015 when I jumped into it. And all of that stuff that you mentioned there, every single thing has happened only in the last 8 years.
Wow.
And it just is a testament to us raising our hand and saying, I'm ready, and I'm ready to go. And I'm open to all the different possibilities that are out there. I had no idea I was going to be doing any of these things. So
yeah, that's as I was listening to her read your bio, I was thinking, wow. So my big question right out of the gate is, well, Lynda, what makes Lynda tick?
yeah, I don't know, gosh, but I'm like an Energizer bunny, that's for sure. It's like, before we came on here, we were talking about, if it ain't fun, I ain't doing it. And that really is one of the things that makes me tick today. I wasn't always like that. I grew up in a very volatile, abusive, alcoholic household. And that's why I ran away when I was 5. By the way, I was just at the neighbor's house, so I was safe. I was safe.
And your mom knew where you were, right?
My mom did know where I was, but here's the thing is, I didn't know my mom knew where I was. So as a 5-year-old, something happened during that week when I was gone, they didn't come to get me. So my belief system was locked in that they didn't come to get me because they don't love me and they don't want me around. And that's what I believed for so many decades. And that was what caused the fear when I came home. Like, my dad was just an angry man. And so I had this fear when I came home, and I became a people pleaser because I just wanted people to love me,
Yeah.
And that a lot of that stemmed from that 5-year-old moment of, being gone for a week.
So why did you run away at 5? Did something particular happen, or was it just like convenience and opportunity?
Yeah, convenience as a 5-year-old, right? Well,
Yeah.
It's interesting you asked that question that way, because I was sitting with Les Brown. I've had this amazing opportunity to meet some really incredible people. And so Les Brown and I were, connecting with each other, and I was with him for it was like 2 hours of brilliance, and
He's a
he
cool
asked me
guy.
the same exact question, Jackie. And I said, well, I was fed up and I just ran away. And he goes, no. There was 5 years of all that stuff that was going on. But what was it about that one day that made you say, this is it, I've had it, I'm out of here, And I don't really know the honest answer to that, because I was 5 and I wasn't really paying attention to life that much. But I do know one thing is, I stood up for myself and I said, I'm not living here. This isn't a good environment. And I love to share this because, Jackie, you work with young people, and, a lot of times parents, we don't give our kids enough credit. At 5 years old, I knew that was a bad environment, and I knew I didn't want to be there. So if we flip that around and we say, wow, 5-year-olds they do know what's going on.
Yeah.
They do pay attention. They don't always say something, because a lot of times we poo-poo their idea and like sit them in the corner, but they do know what's going on. And so what happened that particular day, I don't know, but it was probably a day just like any other day. But the only difference was that I stood up and I said, I'm not taking it anymore.
And where did you go?
Just to the neighbor's house.
Yeah. Okay. With like a next door neighbor?
Next door neighbor. Okay. Yeah.
And so
my girlfriend, I wanted to go play Barbies, I'm sure that's all it was. We didn't have Barbies at my house. So I wanted to go play Barbies at the neighbor's house.
Wow. Okay. But then, so here you are with this strength, not taking this anymore. I'm going to go find a better life. And then there's this other side of you going, oh, mom and dad will miss me. They'll love me. They'll come find me.
Or I hope they'll miss me, right?
Yeah. And then in your mind, they didn't.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm number 4 of 5 kids. So I'm sure that by that time, my mom was a little tired. I was 5 years old, which made my oldest sister 13. Okay. So she's moving into teenage years. And so my mom was probably like, I could use the break. And, Lynda's a little handful, so she'll be safe over there. I'm sure that if she were alive today, I would ask her what was going on in her mind, but she's not. So what I've done is I've changed my story of what that meant. And my mom, I truly believe that my mom, like, she knew where I was, but not only that, she thought, you know what, I'm just going to let her exercise her independence. That's kind of how my mom was.
Probably.
Interesting.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I'm sure she was calling over there every day and checking on you, but
yeah,
that there was no indication of that for you. So then you developed this whole storyline about why that was, and off into life. So to fast forward, then you spent a majority of time wallowing in all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
And then I think I read or I heard that, you turned 51 and there was this huge revelation, and your life turned around ever since. And I can assume that is the starting point of the last 8 years that you talked about.
Exactly. Yeah. 51. I was driving to work. I was working for a judge in the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals.
Wow.
And he's the number 2 judge in the entire circuit. So I had worked my way up to that. 36 years in the corporate world,
Wow.
49 jobs, 49 jobs. And I worked my way up to this, what I now call like the prison that I built for myself, shackled, I hated that job. Oh my gosh. But I don't know if I liked any of the jobs, why does somebody have 49 jobs? And here I was at this job, just like a freaking robot, go to work, get up, go to work, drive in traffic. And this one day in particular, it was August of 2014. Like, I remember it so well. It was August of 2014. I'm driving to work, stuck in the same traffic that I'd been stuck in for about 36 years. And there was that moment of like, why am I here? And I was at that time, I was so filled with anger and hate that I had carried around with me for all those decades since I was a child. Here I was 51. I was still filled with anger. I used to be extremely judgmental and talk about people behind their backs. Like, I was one of those backstabbing women. Like, Jackie knows me today. She doesn't know that person at all, because that is a person I have like kicked to the curb. Yeah. So I'm driving to work and I'm like, why am I here? I have no value, no purpose. There's no reason for me to be here. All I do is push papers around for a judge. It's a ridiculous job. Like, I hate it. I love all these things I'm complaining about. And so when I got to work that day, though, there was a Facebook post inside of a group I belonged to. And it said, I'm a life coach. I took some time off. I'm getting back into it. And I'm looking for 5 women who want to change their life. And I was like, that's me. I want to change my life.
Message from the universe, right?
I know, really. Like, I was asking, why am I here? And then the answer came. God. It just took me 51 years to ask the question.
Yeah.
Why am I here? And so I ended up hiring her. I worked with her for 5 months. That was in 2014. And by the time I was done working with her, I decided to quit my job and become an entrepreneur and embark on that. I had no idea what that meant, what I was going to do, who I was going to serve, how I was going to make any money. But I knew, again, like when I was 5 years old, one thing I knew at 5 was what I didn't want. I didn't know what I did want, but I did know what I didn't want. And I no longer wanted to work that job. So I took that leap of faith to jump into this, entrepreneurship, and without a net, without a pension, with 49 jobs, you don't have a 401k, you don't have a retirement. Yeah. And so just embarking on this journey. And fortunately, my husband was like, okay, let's see what happens.
And so I just, this question popped into my mind. In those 8 years, and you wrote 23 books.
It's 23 collaborations. So one book is my solo book. It's called The Year of Fears. I broke through a fear every day for a year in 2015. The other ones are collaboration books. And so we do still take that.
That takes a lot of work.
It does.
23 books in 8 years. That's amazing. That's got to be a record.
I'm not sure, but that would be cool. That would be cool.
So then, Lynda, my understanding is that you woke up then on January 1st, 2015.
Yeah. So I had worked with,
been working a couple months with this life coach.
yeah, I worked with my
Probably
life
helped
coach
you discover some fears, right? So
a lot of, she helped me discover who I am and like started me on that path. Like there was still a lot of discovery to come, but I did my homework every single week. And I was doing my homework so well that people on the outside would say, wow, something's different about you this week from last week. And so I was really doing a lot of inner deep soul work because I'm 51. Like, I know that time's not going backwards. So I want to shift my life and embarking on that. And what happened was I worked with her for 5 months. December of 2014, I was by myself. I didn't have my life coach anymore. And so I noticed that I was still making some changes, some shifts, but nothing like working with her. And I was like, I don't know if I want to go another 5 months. So January 1st, I woke up and I said, you know what? I got a lot of fears. I'm going to break through a fear every day this year. Yeah, that's what and that was how it started.
wow,
Just like
the thought.
just a thought, but I kept with it. And that was the thing is, it wasn't a New Year's resolution because I break those every year. This was more like a New Year's commitment, which is completely different. And I committed myself to doing that 365 days in a row that year. And talk about shifts. Everything in my life today is a result of those steps that I took, especially that year of fears.
Well, what are some of the fears that you worked on and were able to overcome in that time?
Well, one of the things I came to notice is like a common theme between the fears. It was probably about 3 months into it, and recognizing that because I started asking, like, what's the common theme here? There's got to be something. And the common theme was the fear of judgment. Like that was the overarching fear that I have. They say that more people are scared of speaking on stage than they are of dying. The reality is more people are scared of the judgment that they may receive from speaking on stage. It's not the fear of being on stage. And so as I looked at these different fears, like one fear was, here's what it looked like. I'll share with the audience, what it looked like and how I did this. Every morning before my feet hit the floor, I woke up and the very, very, very first thing I did every morning is ask myself 3 questions and 3 words. What scares me? And then I'd lay in bed and I would wait until the very first fear popped into my head. And my commitment to myself was, my commitment is I have to break through that fear this day. That was the commitment. So that's what it kind of looked like. Sometimes the fears were instant. Like I woke up and boom, there was the fear, like I was dreaming about it all night long. And some of them were like 10 or 15 minutes, but I was committed to doing
That's
this.
the power of intention, right? You set an intention that this is what you were going to do. And so your subconscious just started working on that. And I commend you for the regimentation and the dedication because you knew something inside you was telling you this is what I need to do. And so you documented it, right? That's one of your books, right?
Did not document it.
Oh, you didn't?
So I've never been a writer. I've never been interested in it. I've never been into reading. Like I had friends who were readers in school and stuff. And I was like, that's boring. I was never into either of those. So when it came through breaking through those fears, I didn't journal anything. But when at the end of the year, when I was done with the year, after I'd done, I could share a couple of the amazing things that happened that year. But my mentor at the end of the year said, that's really cool that you broke through a fear every single day for the year. What are you going to do about it? And I was like, I think that's enough. Like, I'm done.
Yeah.
And he says, no, you need to write a book about it because there are a lot of people out there who need to hear your story. Everybody has fear. Everybody has fear. And there are people out there that need to know how they can break through those fears. And I was like, dang, I wish I had been journaling.
Yeah, that would have been helpful.
Yeah. But, some of the fears, like Jackie, you asked, what were some of the fears? The overarching fear was the fear of judgment. But how I discovered that was by the fears that came up. Some of them I remember as if it were like, now I'm asking myself the question because they were so random. like talk to a stranger in the Starbucks. That was one of my fears. It was so specific. So I had to go to Starbucks and talk to a stranger. And I tell you what, I almost threw up that day.
Really?
I was so scared to talk to somebody.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
So when I was
how did you do that? Did you just walk up to somebody or sit next to someone? How did you do that?
it didn't happen at all like I imagined it would. Just put it that way. I showed up at Starbucks, and normally what I would do is because I worked out of this Starbucks, you know, as an entrepreneur, I take my laptop and do the entrepreneur Starbucks thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I would take my laptop, set it up, look at my computer. When I was done, close it down and walk out. I never made eye contact with anybody except for the barista, and that was it. And so that day, though, I was like, okay, I'm going to walk in there. This is what I'm saying to myself. I'm going to walk in there. I'm going to see a stranger. I'm going to approach them. I'm going to have a conversation. I'm going to leave. Like that was it. That's not what happened. I showed up, and I'm very literal with these types of things. And it was talk to a stranger in Starbucks. So it had
Okay.
to be one person. It couldn't be a group of people. I'm better with groups than I am with individuals. So I walked in there and everybody was paired up. There was not a single solo in the room. So I walked in and I walked to the very end of the room, and I'm standing there waiting for my victim to show up, you know. But in the meantime, as these pairs are coming in, it's like 10 minutes of pure agony.
Mm.
How am I going to walk up to this person, whoever it is, when they show up? What am I going to say? Like I'm getting emotional right now, just remembering this moment, because it was so, just so life-changing for me. So finally, this man walks in. He's by himself. He orders and he sits down, and I'm standing over there shaking like a leaf. And I said, okay, this is it, Lynda. This is the fear of the day. You got to walk over and have a conversation. So I walked up to him and I said, excuse me, sir, probably not with this sort of confidence, but
Mm-hmm.
excuse me, sir. I'm breaking through a fear every day this year. And today's fear is to talk to a stranger in a Starbucks. Do you mind if I have a seat? And he was like, yeah, sure. You know, sure, in Doug's voice,
Whatever.
Todd's voice. And so I sat down. We had a conversation. I have no idea what we talked about, but we had a short conversation, maybe 5 minutes. I thanked him for his time, and I stood up and I walked out, and I almost threw up. Like I was so sick to my stomach. Fear is debilitating. Fear can stop us from doing so many things because we don't allow ourselves to just go through it. And that moment right there was one of those pivotal moments, because I talked to a stranger. I never did that before.
Wow. That's incredible.
That's just
And so
phenomenal.
what else did you learn that you share with people about fear and how it works with us? I mean, it's a major part of people's lives, and it directs traffic, and sometimes it prevents us from really, I like to say, standing on the edge of our own becoming and jumping off.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you know, there's a saying that fear, like an acronym, false evidence appearing real. Many people have heard that one.
Mm-hmm.
And I was brushing my teeth. I was probably like 6 months into the, you know, facing fear journey. And I was brushing my teeth and I was like, false evidence appearing real. There's nothing false about my fears at all. They don't appear real. They are real as real can be to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in
To
my
me.
mind, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. And so it's like they create this visceral experience throughout our entire body. We might have, you know, sweating palms, and you know, our forehead sweating or glistening. We women do. You know, your stomach is a nervous wreck. Your throat is locked up. Like so many different experiences that we have with fear. And I was like, they don't appear real. They are real. And I came up with my own acronym. And I love this acronym because it really is one of the things that helps me to tap into. So if anybody watching, this is a writer downer. So break out this pen and paper,
Yeah.
because every single time I say this acronym, people ask me to repeat it. And that is that faith erases anxious reactions.
Mm.
Fear is a reaction. It's a
Yeah.
reaction to something. And maybe it doesn't always erase it, but it will minimize it when you tap into your faith. See, when our fear is strong, our faith is weak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they
When
can't
our
coexist, right?
Yeah. So when our faith is strong, our fear is weak. So if I'm experiencing fear, what does this mean? I don't have faith. And this is faith in 3 different areas that I like to look at. That's faith in myself. So I say, okay, first we have to recognize it. We have to have awareness. I have awareness. I have awareness now. I have awareness. Now, brown cow. I have awareness. I have
And look,
awareness
Jackie
now. It's
can't help
for
but
me
move.
to move on. Like Donkey Kong. I'm sorry, I had to finish my little ditty there.
Nice.
So we have to have awareness that we're experiencing. Fear is just an experience, and it's that we're experiencing fear in the moment. And then we're like, okay, I'm having fear. What do I need to do next? Like,
Yeah.
how do I need to blast through that fear? So I say, first of all, do it because you're scared, because you don't know what's going to happen on the other side of that fear. What if it's something that is absolutely amazing?
Yeah.
All the things I've done this last 8 years after breaking through these different fears, the results have been absolutely incredible. So why am I depriving myself of what's incredible on the other side?
That's a big
Yeah.
message right there.
Yeah. Yeah. So do it because you're scared, not in spite of the fear. That's disempowering. Do it because you're scared. This is an empowering statement.
You were talking about faith. I think you said you had three things
Yes.
about faith. And what was coming to my mind, that's before you broke into your vaudeville act.
A little
Oh, I'm
song,
just kidding.
my little ditty.
But when you started talking about that, I thought, today's young people hear that word faith and it just sends them high and to the right and off of the stage, because they relate that to religion, and where you were going, it had nothing to do with religion.
Yeah. So I'll share with you those 3, and thanks for bringing me back to that, because that awareness piece, right? So I'm having awareness and I'm like, oh, I'm scared. I'm scared to do this. And then I say, okay, this means that my faith is not strong.
Right.
Well, it's faith in first it's faith in yourself. And so then what I'll say is I say, do I have faith that I can do this? Do I have faith in myself that I can do this thing? You know what? My faith in myself isn't strong enough. So now I go to the next step, and that is my mentors, my coaches, my surrounding. I have chosen in my life to surround myself with positive and uplifting people who are making a positive impact on the planet. So I can reach out to anybody in my sphere of influence today and say, you know what, I'm thinking of doing this thing. I'm kind of scared. Can you walk me through it? Can you help me make myself through it? And then after they've talked me through it and I'm still not feeling that enough faith in them and myself, then I go to God. I do believe in God. I go to God and I say, God, I need your help. I don't believe in myself. I don't know that they can help me. I need your help. How can I do this? Help me do this. Help me get that courage, that strength to break through this fear, because I'm scared. So those are the 3 areas of faith that I tap into.
Wow, that's incredible. And you're on this mission to impact 5 million men and women. How are you doing that? I know one way you're doing that is you're organizing and hosting a summit this coming weekend. So you can tell us a little bit about that, and then tell us what else you're doing as part of your mission to accomplish that.
Definitely. Thank you. This weekend, we're hosting the Living on Purpose Summit. And, I believe that every single one of us is born on this planet with a purpose. Some of us find it out younger, and some of us older, and some of us never find it, and I myself started on that path at 51, as I've been, sharing a little bit of my story and discovering my purpose. It took me a while. It took me about 7 years to get there, like really diving in. What is my true purpose? And I would think I'd have it, and then I would make a shift. And if there's something that's knocking us off of our purpose, then I don't believe it's really our found purpose. This is my own belief. And so at this summit, the Living on Purpose Summit, the purpose of that summit is to help you to find your purpose. We're bringing on our speakers. They're going to be talking about purpose, how they discovered theirs. What are some tips, tools, techniques, and tricks that you can use to discover your own purpose? And I got to tell you something. So I love this. We're coming up with a book. It's called Living on Purpose rather than on accident. Like, live your life on purpose rather than on accident. I lived the first years of my life, those decades, on accident. I was just kind of going through the
Reacting.
motions. I
Yeah.
didn't have a purpose, you know? So that's one of the things we're working on is that summit. We have a lot of summits coming up, but that's the one that's coming up this weekend. And, you know, how are we going to achieve that 5 million? So here's what's cool about this is I'm a goal setter. I love setting goals. That's actually one of our books coming up is called The Goal Getters Playbook. So that's one of the books we have coming up. And I love setting goals that I can't attain. You know, we talk about these SMART goals, make it measurable, make it attainable. I'm like, if I make it attainable, I'm going to stop shy of it because that's kind of my personality, right? And so what I do is I make it unattainable. So I know I'm never going to attain it. So I don't get upset or angry or sad or anything. I'm just like, okay, well, next time we'll shoot for more, you know? And so I mentioned that because when I was setting up my SMART goals, that my measurable goal was 500,000. We were going to, no, 50,000. I like the number 5. So my goal was to impact 50,000 people by sharing their stories. And then I said, oh yeah, I forgot. Grant Cardone said you need to 10x it. So I 10x'd it to 5 million. And then I had this realization that that's 100x. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh man,
Say, it's not 10.
bad math, my bad math. And I said, you know what? I'm not going back. I'm not going to drop it down. Let's make it 5 million. And what I realized in that moment is for the first time in my life, I was age 58 at that time. For the first time in my life, I'm creating a legacy. This isn't about achieving it while I'm here. This is about having a vision and a mission and achieving that long after I'm gone.
Wow.
Very
So how
cool.
can they find out about this summit coming up this weekend?
The summit, you can find out about that at actiontakerspublishing.com/summit. All the information is there. And Jackie, we're looking for speakers for our future summits as well. And that's at actiontakerspublishing.com/summit speaker. If you want to find out if you're a fit for one of our upcoming events, upcoming summits, go ahead and check it out over there.
Excellent. And don't let fear hold you back from that, right?
Let fear fuel you forward. Let it fuel you forward. Yeah, so I want to share something. So some of the things I'll share like briefly, some of the things that happened as a result of me breaking through those fears. Like you mentioned, interviewing stars on the red carpet. I would never have done that had it not been after breaking through those fears, because I never would have put myself in that position to ask, can I interview stars on the red carpet? At the Academy Awards after party, I mean, like legitimate stars like Matthew McConaughey, Les Brown, Jack Canfield, some different movie stars. Like I had an opportunity to interview Demi Moore, but that opportunity passed me by. So I didn't let that opportunity pass me by when it came to Wesley Snipes. I grabbed him and I brought him. I said, it's my turn to interview you, Wesley. And I interviewed the president of Mexico, the country, in his presidential suite. This was one of those opportunities that I was like, it's my Barbara Walters moment.
There you go.
Yeah. So, and these aren't to brag. These are to say that when we step outside of our comfort zone, what we do is we actually create and enlarge the size of our comfort zone. So every time I've done something that was fearful, I stretched out my comfort zone just a little bit. Sometimes it retracted back, but just like a balloon, the next time you blow it up, it gets a little bit larger and larger. And so that's what I've been doing, is expanding that size of that comfort zone, becoming like I'm listed on IMDb because I'm an executive producer of a film called Wishman. That never would have happened had I not broken through those fears. So we don't know. I love to say this. You never know who you won't meet until you step outside of your comfort zone.
Well, it's so incredible to hear you talk about how fearful it was enough that it made you nauseous to talk to the stranger in Starbucks. And now you're interviewing A-list celebrities, right? I mean, what a leap. And so it's a perfect illustration of what can happen when you can break through that fear, right? I mean, I'm certain that you had no idea that someday I'll be doing this. That's not why I wanted to talk to that person in Starbucks. But that's what happens, right? Opportunities open to you because the fear no longer holds you back, which has been a theme of what we've been saying. So it's easy to see just from your story alone that there's incredible opportunities waiting for all of us. So I was going to ask you, did you have fears of things like spiders and snakes that you had to work through?
I don't like spiders and
snakes.
That ain't what it takes to love me. Hey, any opportunity to sing, okay?
That's awesome. I love that.
Oh, you and Jackie are cut from the same rug then. That's for sure.
That's awesome. I love it.
She hears, so that when you were singing, you could look at Jackie and she's just started moving. So she has no ability. She's like my daughter. She hears a tune and she's got to move. It's got to happen.
Exactly. Well, you know what was interesting that year is, and now again, I didn't have a plan. It's just to wake up every day and ask myself that question. I had no idea that none of my fears were going to be jumping out of plane, bungee jumping, or touching animals like snakes. I don't know that it's that I was scared of touching a snake, except that it just grosses me out. The looking of it. I did touch a snake in March, though. I did face that, and it grossed me out. Okay, but I did it. Because I just never around snakes, but that I was at an event and they had 3 snakes there, and so I did touch one. I did scream, by the way.
Yeah,
I was like a little girl, and I was like,
so I gotta ask. So as you're in that fearful moment, right? What tools, what thoughts, what mantras do you have to just shove that fear in your pocket and take that step forward?
Well, I didn't shove the snake in my pocket. That was one thing.
Well, here's Lynda. Before you go there, let me warn you. I haven't actually had fear of snakes. In fact, I grew up in the desert, so snakes were my playthings. But now I have grandchildren who have tons of snakes as pets.
And lizards.
So you never know when you're going to, if even overcoming that simple thing by touching that snake, you never know where in the future you might have grandkids that have snakes you have to deal with anyway. So just, I was going to throw that out as an aside.
Awesome. I love it. Well, so what I did is I tapped into, again, that faith, that faith in myself, the faith. I was in an environment that I think there are about 500 of us. And this is it's like my family. It's an event called Secret Knock. I've been attending it since 2015. My mentor runs the event. He's the one who told me to write the book. And so I was in a very comfortable, friendly environment. So as I saw those snakes over there on the other side of the room, and I saw all these people touching them, they were holding them and all this stuff, I said, okay, this is it. Like I'm never around snakes, so I never have that opportunity. And I said, this is it. It's either today or never, because there they are. They're open outside of a cage and all this. And so I walked over there and I went like this, like, and then finally I said, just do it, Lynda. Let's do it because, and I said, do it because you're scared. And I even said it out loud. I'm going to do this because I'm scared. And so I touched it and I touched it like 3 or 4 times, and that was it. And I was done. Yeah. Okay. There was a kid. There were 3 of them. The one that I touched was like here. And then there was another person with one over here. And I didn't know this. There was another person with another one behind me.
Oh.
So as I started to back away, the person behind me, because I remember I squealed. As I started to back away, they go, I've got a snake behind you too. And they yelled at me. And I was like, I ran away, but did it.
Wow. Wow, that's funny.
So I think it's a python and it's going to eat me or something.
They're big snakes.
They are big snakes. But
Yeah.
They're pretty docile with humans, I think. For the most
yeah,
part.
everybody was holding them, had them around their necks and doing all this stuff with them. And, I'm just glad I finally touched one and I got to see that it's nothing as like I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be all slimy and gross, but it wasn't.
Yeah. Well, so I think you have come to be known as the Queen of Collaboration. And that's probably because you have collaborated on these compilation books 23 times now, right?
And she has no fear.
That's right. And so I can only imagine the amazing people that you've come to know and to meet and who've been part of your projects. do you see an end to this, Lynda, or are you just going to keep creating these books for as long as you possibly can? Or is there still something that you feel is left undone for you?
So that's a great question. And what I love about that question is, well, first of all, I see myself doing this forever. Yes, because this is my genius zone. This is my ultimate, like, this is where I shine the most, for sure. Right out of the gate, my very first book became a #1 international best-selling book. I didn't even know what I was doing. But what I did is I tapped into the skills that I had in relation to marketing that I had learned along this entrepreneurial journey, and said, I think this is what I need to do. And I did it, and it worked. And so we have a system in place that works. But for me, it's all about the community. One thing I learned from one of the many things I learned from my life coach is that community is an essence word of mine. And what this means, that this is my core. Creating community is at my core. Every single collaboration book is its own little community. But we have, as a publishing company, we have a large community that has all these different ecosystems within it. So I'm creating this huge community that has little communities inside of it. And to me, there's nothing like it. I mean, it's so amazing keeping it all organized, and it's a lot. It's a lot to keep organized. But I tap into those 36 years of jobs and 49 jobs, 36 years working for a judge, working as a legal secretary. I tap into all those skills to keep everything organized. So I'm a very organized person. And the reason why I love the question is, do you feel that there might be something undone? Is, again, we never know who we're going to meet unless we step outside of our comfort zone. I don't know who I'm going to meet today, like meeting Todd today. I don't know where that's going to lead me. I have no idea. So when people ask questions like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And I say, why would I limit myself?
Yeah.
Why would I? Because I only have knowledge up through this very moment. In an hour, something could change in my life. That, like, my mentor calls me frequently and he'll say, hey, I have an opportunity for you. That's his voice.
Yeah.
And if I don't answer the phone, that opportunity slips me by. So I answer the phone now, like I didn't used to, because I was too scared. I was too scared to answer the phone. But now I answer the phone, especially when it's him. I'm like, what do you got? What do you got for me? Because he's always, just sending me things my way. And it's so incredible. And so is any stone unturned? I'd say so. Lots of them. Lots of them. And I'm looking forward to turning them over when it comes time.
Yeah, I like to say, if your chin's down and your tail's between your legs, those opportunities are just gonna whiz right on by. So you gotta be like a puppy dog, right? You gotta be up, you gotta be looking for that squirrel.
I am a squirrel.
Well, I think it's a nice lesson, Lynda, that because a lot of times we feel like we've got to be control over everything. We've got to have these goals and we work toward these specific steps to reach those goals. But you've definitely proved that success can, I mean, maybe people can have success that way, right? But you've found that success also comes with no plan. And just by being open to receive, to take one step every day toward overcoming something that you don't like about yourself, or that is holding you back, and not have a plan in mind, just go forward and see what happens. So I think there's a lot of beauty to that, and evidence that it's working for you, and obviously for a lot of people who work with you.
Well, and I'll share with you, it's interesting you mentioned that, because as you met, just 2 days ago, I'm trying something different for me, and that's to plan. So I like we have summits. I mentioned earlier, the summits. We have our summits planned all the way out through December or November of 2024. Wow. This is my first time doing something like that. And I got to tell you, when we sat down to plan it, I felt a tremendous sense of like warmth and a tremendous sense of like purpose and just like this alignment that I've never experienced. So we'll see what alignment and purpose like that feels like, and how that moves me forward and catapults me to where I'm, what I'm here to do.
Well, you have to have direction, right? I think my teacher would say, You know, you may be sitting behind the wheel of your car in your driveway thinking you're going to go to the store, but then you remember that you need to go to the drugstore as well, right? So along the way to the store, you go to the drugstore and you might meet Jim, who's got a lollipop to give you, and then you get your sugar fix for the day. I mean, you got to start with at least a direction, and then everything else falls into place.
Yeah. I'm excited to see, how that works out with me planning so much in advance with so many different things, so much in advance,
Yeah.
I'll report back in a year and a half.
There's a lot to be said. There's a lot to be said for being present, right? Because I'm just like you. I just try and be as present as I can, and chin up and tail out from between my legs looking for that opportunity, but I'm not tied to, and sometimes that gets me in trouble, but that's the way to go.
Yeah. I call it what presence with purpose.
Right.
We're present with purpose. And
Nice.
it's just when we can, again, that Living on Purpose summit that we're having, a lot of the books that we have are like representative of my own life. Like, for example, the very first collaboration book, like how I got into book publishing, was completely random. And it was something that I never thought I would do. I never imagined it at all. But after I was in a collaboration book with my mentor. That was my first stint at writing anything. And then after that, I wrote my book, The Year of Fears. And then after that, I asked myself a question because I love growth. And I said, what's my next natural state of progression? I was in one, I wrote one. I'm going to start putting together my own. So what I did is I reached out to some of the people that I know. The founder of UGG Boots, Brian Smith, I reached out to him. I reached out to my mentor, Greg Reed, and I reached out to the creator of the Make-A-Wish Foundation, Frank Shankwitz. And I also reached out to Ron Klein, the inventor of the credit card magnetic strip, the thing that we still use today. These are friends that I've met on this journey. And I said, hey, I'm thinking of writing a book called Momentum, 13 Lessons from Action Takers Who Changed the World. Would you be interested in being part of it? Every single one of them said, yes, just tell me what I need to do.
Nice.
And I was like, oh crap, now I
have to have a plan.
Yeah. But that was that catalyst that got me started. I knew because of my old patterns is I wasn't very good at committing to myself, but I was always great at, as a people pleaser, I was great to committing to others. So I knew that if I reached out to them and they said yes, that I would do it. I would finish it. And that was why I did that. And so I went on this path, this journey of filling the rest of the book, finding those 13 people and published that book. And that was the very first, that was the start of it. And then I said, that was a lot of fun. I'm going to do it again. Now I lost money on that. It was a venture that I was, I had no idea what I was doing again. And so I lost money on it, and it was okay because I learned so much. Yeah. What am I going to do next? The Fearless Entrepreneurs, and then Invisible No More, Invincible Forevermore. This is the story of my life. I became a fearless entrepreneur through breaking through fears. I went from a person who was invisible. I didn't want to be seen, heard. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I was too scared, that I went from invisible to invincible. And it's not about being invincible. It's about feeling invincible. Yeah. And so those two books were the next. And then after that, the books just kept coming. And these titles kept coming to me. Awakened at 3 a.m. with book titles. That's what happens to me. I'm awakened at 3 a.m. I can't go back to sleep. So I got to get up and write them all down. And I have like 76 titles in the hopper waiting to come forward.
That's awesome.
Well, there's a reason you were attracted to Greg Reed, because you embody a lot of his teachings. I hung out with Greg. Oh my gosh. It was back when 3 Feet from Gold just first came out. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
That was the book, literally, Todd, that book, 3 Feet from Gold by Greg Reed. That book, when I was reading that one, I was going through it and thinking, why not me?
Exactly.
Why not me? And that was the book that got me started thinking, why not me?
Yeah, he's a great guy too.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, ladies, that's about all we have time for. Is there a last minute message, Lynda, that you would like to give our listeners?
And tell them how we can get in touch with you.
Okay. Thank you so much for having me. This is a pleasure. Any opportunity I can
Did
share.
you have a blast today?
Oh my God. I had so much fun. This was awesome. Awesome. Any opportunity I can have to share with people, any types of tools, techniques to break through their fears, I'm always open for that, because we as human beings, we have these opportunities, but they will pass us by if we don't do them. So one thing I love to share with people is that you are never too old to start something new. I started this entire journey at age 51. At age 51, with no knowledge. I had no idea what I was going to do, who I was going to serve, or how I was going to make any money doing any of it. But I embarked on the journey. I'm so glad I did. So you're never too old to start something new, and do it because you're scared.
Nice.
Look at, oh, that just reminds me really quick. And now I can't think of his name. There's a famous actor. He's like 79 years old. And him and his wife just had a baby.
What?
Just recently?
Just recently, just yesterday. Bergman?
That would be Ingrid Bergman.
No.
Well, Felix Unger, what is it called? Felix Unger, also his wife had a baby. He was Tony Randall. Yeah, I think he was 83 or something like that.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway,
his wife wasn't 83.
Once we finish up the show, I'll remember who it was, but it was just in the news yesterday, so you could probably find it.
Wow.
That's all we have time for today, my friends. I hope you enjoyed the show. We know already that our guests had a blast, so that means you probably had a blast too. So then my next call for action would be tell a friend about us. Tell a friend about Life Mastery Radio. Tell a friend about our YouTube channel, all of our shows, website, lifemasteryradio.com. And of course, the infamous Jackie Bailey, who is just all over the world with her young students and herself, going to be on the TED Talk stage in San Diego in June or July, Jackie?
July.
Yeah,
I want to congratulate Robert De Niro on becoming a father at age
that
79.
Was him.
Robert De Niro.
Google's your friend, right?
Exactly.
Nice.
Oh, that's about it. Lastly, please make it a great day, because as we learned today, it is all about choice. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Life Mastery Radio. Join Todd Allen and Jackie Bailey and their guests of leading authors, speakers, coaches, and entrepreneurs weekly at 10 a.m. Pacific. Learn to live a peaceful life with intentional mastery through stories and messages to support your well-being and most evocative dreams. Visit their website, www.lifemasteryradio.com. Join their mailing list and be notified about upcoming guests. That's lifemasteryradio.com.